grabbed him, he wrestled him to the floor, broke my rep's leg.
I do believe that there are aliens.
I was smoked a blunt with a guy just to get a close deal with him.
Buck around and find out.
It is weird though, like it was a dude and like he was wearing a dress and a wig when I answered the door.
What's up? I'm Joe Moose.
I'm Josh King.
Welcome to the SolarPulse Podcast, where you're going to see never seen before collaborations and some awesome guests. Really excited to show you guys what we got in store for you.
Wherever you're watching, guys, Facebook, YouTube, any single platform, like, follow, subscribe. Let us know in the comments if you like this type of stuff. Let us know what we should do in the future, and we'll see you on the inside.
Danny Bessie! What up?
What the hell is going on?
What do you think, bro?
But what are you guys wearing?
What are you talking about?
This is called a pest.
Bro, you guys, who would wear such ridiculous things?
Hey, man, this is called style. I don't know where you come from.
Man, you guys are nuts.
The question is, where is Danny Pesci? Where's his style? What's up with you, man? Where are you at?
I would never be caught dead in such a ridiculous outfit.
What's up, Pesci? Man, how you doing?
Good, dude. I got to figure out this. Okay, I got this screen thing down, dude. This thing's nuts. Are we live right now, or what's going on?
Bro, of course we're live.
We're
Go.
live, recording, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we're live talking
Style.
right now. We're all alive.
Heck yeah. Dude, love it. I'm going to post this on my Instagram story so we can...
Bro,
We
Pesci,
can rock.
do you know this is the first ever episode of Solar Pulse?
I think this is actually the best episode of SolarPulse. So if you're watching this in year 2086, we're kicking ass and taking lead, baby.
2086. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, so
I'm going to go back.
once we knew we were doing this podcast, I was like, there's only one person I wanted to get on here that's going to bring the hype, bring the comedy, bring the engagement. And we thought of Danny Pesci, number one, baby.
Hey, one and only king.
Shows up not wearing the style that he's known for. What do you know?
Hey. Let me, I'm on a family trip where I'd have some Gucci stuff rolled out for you. Boys.
Bro, I'm going to announce it just in case people don't know who you are. Danny Pesci has been in door-to-door sales for almost 2 decades. This guy is an improv genius, improv master from Hollywood, took his talents to the streets, knocking on doors, became one of the best door knockers in the world, and now is one of the best trainers in the world, and now is in the solar industry, and he's taken the solar industry by storm. What's up, Pesci? Did I do good?
Man, dude, that was great. Thank you, Joe. I'm humbled by that fantastic introduction.
You're the man, bro.
Welcome.
James Wood!
Big Wood, baby, Big Wood.
Well, you guys didn't tell me I was supposed to go buy a Game of Thrones cloak.
Yo,
That ain't Game
Yeah,
of
that's
Thrones.
true.
That's
It's not
your
Game of
Alabama.
Thrones. It's more like Liberace, but that's all right.
We got these at DannyPesci.com.
you haven't checked it out
Use
yet?
promotion
You're
code Danny Pesci 25.
Hey, how do we get a link for this thing?
So this is
That link you sent me, Joe. will that
I'm
work?
just very jealous of Josh's skin tone and just his camera quality here. Like I look like I'm doing this from under a bridge somewhere, and I don't know where he's doing it, but it's not a bridge.
It's all Hollywood magic, man. It's something Danny would know about.
all right. So we have a new.
I guarantee I'm the whitest out of everyone.
We got a new person joined us, and we didn't even introduce him yet. Mr. James Wood. What's up, James? How you doing, bro?
Doing well, man. How are you?
So we wanted this first episode to bring some of the funniest people in the industry. We wanted you too, because that's what you guys bring, a lot of humor and entertainment to not only social media, but to the whole solar industry. So thank you for both for being here, man.
Yeah, of course.
We did want the 2 funniest people, but we couldn't find them, so you guys would do
Yeah,
it.
you're a
Wait,
dude.
who's the other funniest person? Is it Josh? Is it Danny? Who am I in competition with here?
I think it's it might be Andrew Weiss. I'm not sure.
Oh, polarizing.
He's in some hot water. He's in some hot water right now. In some hot water. He's made a couple friends. He's south of the
a few
border. He's south of the
missteps.
border.
Yeah. Hey, we all make them.
You know, and I've talked
just
with
to
Andrew
make sure
before, and, like,
I'm
I don't know Andrew very well, but like I've always wondered if it's. I don't think there's any, from what I can gather from very limited interactions. I'm not sure there's ill intent. I think that he just gets in over his head and then doesn't really know how to handle it, like which happens a lot with people. But maybe I'm giving people too much of a benefit of the doubt.
Bro,
Who knows?
James,
Who knows?
you've been doing social media, you've been recruiting, you've been doing blitzes, you've been posting. I don't hear anything about you. I don't hear anybody saying you're getting screwed over or you're messing anybody up. Why is that? Why are nobody's talking shit about you, James?
We've had a few, I'm sure. There's always
Give me the
reps
answer.
that have like there's always some reps that think that they're not being paid something that they're owed or whatever, and it's usually for jobs that never went to install. It's like, why haven't you paid me?
Yep.
But no, man, we do our best to really create an environment that it's where we would want to work, and we've always paid people even after they leave for their jobs and all that. So I don't know, man. I keep my head down and just work, I reckon. I'm from Alaska. I went to high school. I was born.
We losing.
I went to high school in Alaska. If you're looking for fun facts.
Whoa.
That does not sound fun at all.
High school in Alaska.
If you said you were like born in Vegas, that would be fun, bro.
So how long have you been off heroin?
That's actually a pretty serious problem up there for sure. But no, it's a great place to grow up, great place to raise a family, but not a great place to be, a young adult for sure. There's not a lot going on there. Most of the people that I knew that I went to high school with, some of them are doing all right, but the ones that stayed there mostly ended up pregnant or like alcoholics, heroin, sometimes all three. Some combination there.
Dude, we call that the trifecta. The trifecta: pregnant, on heroin, and alcohol.
I hear there's a 5% chance of getting addicted to heroin and a 3.5% chance of getting hit by a Chinese spy balloon in Alaska. Is that correct?
Sounds about right, but you can see Russia from your house, so it can kind of balance it out.
Did you hear that
You
sound?
can see China from there?
No, not China. Don't be
No,
It
they're
sounds like it's
straight, right?
Russia from Alaska.
Yo, I think James was on an airplane or a rocket ship going somewhere, bro.
I was about to ask, is that echo coming
Did you
from
hear
me?
that?
I can put on some AirPods or something if that's me.
Yeah, there's like a wind. It sounds like
Put your echo
Blown.
cancellation on,
Yeah,
James.
it's on.
It sounds like you're in.
Sorry?
You know what it sounds like?
Is it?
One of those fly chambers, those skydiving insights.
Well, I'll
It
mute
sounds like you're
myself
one of
and
those.
see if it goes. I'll mute myself and see if it goes.
That sounds better.
Yeah, I think it's better. If you go to your settings
Yeah,
in the
that's a
bottom
lot
left,
better.
and then click echo cancellation in audio and video, but oh well.
Yeah, you'd think people would not buy Microsoft products anymore and skip to Apple. But
This is a MacBook.
win from Alaska.
This is a MacBook. Don't be talking shit. Can we curse on here?
Is it one of
Can I
those?
not be cursing?
Hell yeah.
We can do whatever the fuck we want to do.
All right, cool.
Our shit. Let's go.
And what's weird, I hear the
So before-
two.
What'd you say?
Unos.
It goes away when you mute yourself. Kind of like all.
Kind of like everything.
Kind of like everything.
Yeah,
So
fair enough.
before we go
Well,
further, I don't want to butcher the intro. So really quick, would you mind just people don't know who you are? Tell them a little bit about you, your background, and how you got to where you are today. Go with Pessy,
Me or James?
Danny P.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Danny, that
Oh,
makes my life
yeah.
shit.
Yeah, go fix the mic, please, James. And while you're at it, just there's something on your lip right here. Just get rid of that. Yeah. So I got out of high school and I wanted to either be a basketball player or do improv comedy. And I was playing at Pasadena City College basketball, playing with the team there, like in open gyms. And dude, I was just getting smoked, bro. I was like a 6'3" white guy, just straight post player. And I was going up against these 6'10", 6'11", like straight Nigerian warriors. And dude, I'm like, bro, I am not gonna win this game. like at that point, I'm like, there's passion and there's logic. And I was like, all right, bro, I'm got the heart, but I just don't have the right material for it. So I dropped out. I stopped playing basketball, went all in on comedy. And I started the first theater troupe at Pasadena City College called Grizzled Chuck. And I was doing improv hard, but improv's expensive. You got to rent theaters. You have to pay for coaches. You have to put theater spaces for events. And I didn't have a lot of time. So my buddies were doing something called the summer program, where you'd move to a part of the country that you'd live in for 4 months, make as much money as you can. And so basically I'm like, all right, I will go knock doors for 4 months and then come back and do comedy for 8 months. And so then when I came back, I had about 18 grand that I made that summer, spent 16 on stupid stuff and survival, and then 3 grand I spent on theater and then a DJ setup, which was another stupid investment. But I was like, okay, this works. Next year, I went out and doubled my income, made 72 grand, third year, 110, fourth year, like 350. And it was really good. As a 22-year-old making that kind of money, I was the #1 sales rep in the country for a company called Pinnacle Security. They were they were neck and neck with Vivint at the time. And after that, just kind of cemented myself as a steady figure in the production side of door to door and for the alarms. And then 2016 came around. Vivint partnered with VSLR in an attempt to upsell more solar accounts and get more alarm accounts. So I started the program off in Los Angeles, where I'd go to these solar markets. I'd go sell door to door for security, and then they'd have a solar guy waiting for me. And then after I set the appointment, he'd come in and close it. So my first solar deal was in 2016. And then I ran that for 2 years and went really well. I did it with Vivint in LA and then Legacy with Jory Sullivan in 2017. And then after that, the whole program where Vivint and Vivint Solar combined shut down because there was a whole fight between the companies and overrides and stuff. And unfortunately, it never could work out. But what did work was the system that I, kind of pioneered that basically got people to go from an alarm account to go upsell on solar. And I was like, wow, this is cool. So I started off as a setter. And then eventually in 2021, I went to full-time closer. And 2020, the year before, me and my team set 300 installs for solar. And then the next year went up to 2,100. So yeah, it's been cool. It's a cool little run. And then, after realizing that there's no money in theater and, I'm more funny looking than I am funny, I was like, all right, I'm going to stick to making, some money knocking doors. So now I'm in my 16th year doing it. And I transferred to full-time consulting in 2021 and have been running it ever since. So it's been sick.
So speaking of...
Are you still in... Sorry, go for it, Joe.
Speaking of funny looking, but not as funny, James. So can you tell us your story? Sorry.
Danny, you've got to do community theater. That's where the money's in. Also, I still hear the ocean, so I think you guys screwed me on this whole switch to the AirPods thing. But no, I don't have the extensive direct sales background that a lot of you guys have. I got in solar in 2017, no alarm or pest experience or anything like that. Started a company, doing door knocking pretty quickly, moved into closing because they had a bunch of knockers, but not a lot of people with sales experience. Prior to solar, I was selling, I was actually doing cemetery sales. That was my first sales job. I was working at a cemetery, selling selling headstones.
I heard
and stuff
people
like
are
that.
dying to get
I knew you were going to say that.
No, our customers are dying to see us. We made that joke once or twice while we were there for sure.
Damn.
But,
I heard you killed it.
Yeah, got into solar, started closing. Yeah. But no, just really fell in love with sales on that because it's you're obviously controlling your own paycheck and all that, and then got into a buddy told me hey, you can make a lot more money doing solar.
and kind of worked my way up at that company. I did Bill's solar cheat code thing way back in the day, and that kind of got me plugged into the larger community, and taught me a lot about generating your leads through ways other than door knocking. And then I started to realize, like, dude, we were like looking back, so we were selling systems with like 499s, 599s back when dealer fees were low. We were selling like $6.50, $7 a watt. They were paying closers $150 a kilowatt, baby. I thought I was killing it. And then I tried to get $500 for a pizza party, and they're like, "Listen, it's just not in the budget. We can't do this." Then I started hanging out with the solar cheat code guys and all that, and I started figuring out about red lines and stuff. And I was like, "Man, these guys are doing all right." But just really didn't see it. There was a lot of customer service issues and a lot of that, and just really wasn't enjoying it. And I could tell that like the family that we had built there was going to just kind of break up and go their separate ways. So I started finding some other options. And, for installs, we've worked with like pretty much every major EPC out there, and really just kind of made a name for ourselves for being really great to work with. Like, we just put in clean jobs all the time, really tight controls on how salespeople operate, filtering things up through management and all that. So, we were just able to get a really good reputation for that, and people just wanted to work with us. And when COVID hit, we started doing blitzing as a way to get around COVID restrictions, because Florida didn't give a crap about COVID. So we went down there and, just really started doing that 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off model, and did really well with it, particularly like back in Georgia and all that. Like our best blitz ever, which I was pretty proud of. It was a complete shit show, but in the best way possible. We did 208 accounts in like 14 days.
Hey, there you go.
With about 60 people. And yeah, still doing the thing, selling solar. You know how it is. You're managing. I'm still not in the whole fancy consulting gig yet. I'm still managing sales reps and playing the corporate game and all that fun stuff.
Hey,
Danny,
different battles.
I got a question about your comedy stuff.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said, are you still in the comedy scene? Are you keeping up with what's going on? No, not at all. So
it's the whole thing, dude. It's a whole. Bro, it's just tough, man. It's like it's a whole commitment. Like, to do that.
Well, more so like, do you watch comedy? Do you know like the current comedians and the up and comers right now? No. I've somehow entered into this world just as an observer, and I don't know if you know what like Kill Tony is, or any of these live podcasts and tech. It's a really interesting scene, right? And one thing I've noticed, and you probably are the only other person that would be able to relate to this. Comedy seems very similar to sales in that everyone thinks they can fucking do it until they're on that stage, and then they're just done. So me being the egotistical maniac, I have jokes on my phone, right? And like, oh, I could kill this, like, and then I'm sure, maybe I have a slight advantage over the random who's never even done sales. But I promise you, I'll get on stage and I'll forget every joke and how to hit things. And I'm sure the kids that think they're comedians, they think, oh, that's easy. I can make a joke. If you watch, there's a podcast called Kill Tony. It's like an hour and a half of they just pull a name out of a hat, and then everyone gets a minute. 99% of people who thought they were going to be absolutely amazing, they get on the stage and they just shit the bed. Exactly the same as sales. The amount of shit that I hear about people telling me, they'll sit in front of me during an interview saying, Josh, I will be your best closer within 1 week. What do your best guy do? Okay, I'll do double. And I'm thinking, like, you have no idea, man. You have no idea what's going on. It's one of those things where you see it from the outside, you think you're going to be a badass, but then you just crumble when you actually hit it. Is that accurate?
There's
unless they have a spreadsheet showing you their deals, just assume whatever number they give you, chop it in half. Unless they've got a spreadsheet, and then you can take them at their word.
Spreadsheet.
I mean, with comedy, the thing is there's people who are funny, but there's a game to the humor. There's natural humor and there's strategic humor.
Yeah.
Some of the funniest people you wouldn't even fucking think of them. You know who's the funniest is the people who are smart.
Yeah.
The people who are really smart, they see the low-hanging fruit for the joke, but build it up and then bomb in another direction and hit at another avenue. It's literally beautiful to watch. And that's what's so cool about improv is it's literally a painting being painted in front of you. And that's why it's not as popular as it should be, because it's so hard to do. and it's not rewarding enough for the intellectual power that it takes to operate at.
Yeah.
I had a choice. If I went down this path, what would be my lifestyle and income? And it's like the people I was studying theater from were living 4 people in a single bedroom. And I'm like, dude, I just got done making $100,000 in the summer at 19 years old or 20 years old. I could never do that. So it's just choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so now my North Star in life is to entertain people. And now I'm actually performing on big stages than I was professionally as a comedian, because I'm not doing it how I thought I was, but I was going with what the world wanted, which was, training and, selling. And so now I'm able to be funny on stage and still have a little bit of that comedy. And instead of telling jokes, I tell people lines that they could use to make them more money. So I technically am a professional comedian.
Yeah. It's just like sales.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think my favorite use of comedy is the smart people that are you're able to use humor to basically subvert people's expectations, and you're able to get them to think about stuff in a way that they don't normally do. And it's a really cool way to get people to maybe approach like a very controversial subject or something like that, because you can make them laugh, so you lower their defenses, and now you can open up their mind to something else and think about something in a different way. And you're absolutely right that you can do that on stage when you're teaching people sales and stuff too. I think that's
100%.
Cool.
And James, James, you're like naturally funny, right? Like, doesn't seem like you're trying hard. You just come up with these comments and on social media and Facebook. Is that part of like your recruiting technique? Like, let people like enjoy your comedy, like you, and then they want to reach out to you and hang out with you, and all of a sudden they're part of your team. Is that something like you're using consciously, or just you're natural at it?
I think it's both. Like I think being in sales, you learn what you're doing. Part of when going from just being a sales guy to like actually teaching people how to do it, you're figuring out what it is that you do naturally really well, and then figuring out how to teach it to people, which is 2 very different things. And it's not something it's definitely just who I am. Like I just do that stuff because it's entertaining. And I think that, life should be, life is a lot more simple and should be a lot more fun than a lot of people make it. So if we can, just kind of have some fun with it, poke fun. My dad always told me that if you can't laugh at yourself, then you're going to be miserable your whole life. So I like laughing. I like making other people laugh. And it's not like a conscious thing I do, but I definitely am aware of the fact that it's, something that's useful in that situation for sure.
Yeah. So like the best sales guy, you see like a guy who can talk the ear off of any girl at the bar. The second you give him a script, he's just like absolutely drowning. But then there's the few who are naturally talented, but also the structure just comes easy to them, whether it's sales or comedy. And you just look at them and you're like, screw you, man. What are you doing? Like I was a total introvert. I was not a sales guy whatsoever. I never talked. Until I, sort of learned to be extroverted. But then you get the guys who, and this is the British, really. The British are the best salespeople in the world, especially the South. They can talk, but they're also smart. It's the culture, right? You're always talking, but then you're also a bit intellectual as well, because you got to figure out the game or you get screwed over. And that makes for an amazing comedy and sales scene. But
if you like British sales, you should watch the show
White Gold.
What is it called? There's a show. Yeah. Oh, yeah. White Gold, dude. That shit is so freaking funny.
It's
amazing.
It's pretty damn accurate too. In Australia, all our sales guys were British, right? And so we really quickly learned fairly early on, like there's a culture for sales and being witty, but also at the same time, the culture of, it's not just being witty, right? The American witty is like, let me just say something loud. The British witty is, how do I actually turn these guys around? How do I actually convince them of something? It's
Danny, I was just about to ask if you were eating sunflower seeds, because you're like going heavy on those things.
Well,
and yeah, Josh, all of Australia is just British criminals that they wanted to get rid of, right?
It is a bit, but the Australian culture is very, very different than
that's how Australia started.
Criminal colonies.
The British found this island. They were like, hey, there's a whole bunch of space down here and like a bunch of poisonous animals. Our prisons are overflowing. We'll just send these guys down there and let them fend for themselves.
Yeah. The theory is that the Australian accent came from second and third generation kids who heard their parents talk when they were really, really drunk. Complete theory, but that's what people say.
So Australian
Like a drunk British accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Go ahead, Josh. We're going to do the.
Are you? So you're from Australia, Josh?
I grew up in Australia. I was born in Canada,
Sorry.
and then I moved there when I was late teen, early 20s. That's when I fell into solar in Australia. Yeah, they're amazing place. But the Brits there's a ton of Brits there.
So can you do like? Can you do like a combination Canadian Australian accent? Because I would love to hear that. If you could.
I could do so. I could put on my Australian accent. It really depends where you want me to be from. But I can do like a South Australian accent, really, really chill, can't really hear it. And then it gets really up here. It's like, right, this is where the crocodiles are. That's in Queensland and Northern Australia. I used to have a half and half, a Canadian-Australian accent, but now I've been in the States and Canada for the past few years, and now it's sort of like maybe you might catch the set, every fifth or sixth word have like a different twang, Australian twang, but it's gone now, unfortunately.
All right, Petsy, let's hear your Australian accent. You know you want to do it.
Were you with Carlos Venezuela down there?
What?
Did you know Carlos Villanueva?
Yeah, he was an old consultant of mine.
Oh, yeah. So Carlos, he's a good friend. I just met him down in Colombia.
Yeah, they're in Medellin right now. Or maybe he is. I'm not sure. I'm heading down to Medellin in May after SolarCon.
Yeah, it's a great place to go, mate. Me and him, we did our coffee tour down there, and let me tell you, it was quite wanky. It's like wild and then amazing wanky.
Wanking?
That word, yeah.
Colombia is
I mean, I think if you just Josh, if you just do like that Australian accent, if you just do that Australian accent and then throw in some A's, I think you'd probably be able to mesh the two.
Australia has A's, so that we just they say it differently. So in Canada, you'll go like, "Oh, what about that, eh?" But in Australia, they'll go, "Oh yeah, what about that, I?" So they'll do it down instead of up. It's super common though. Yeah, go for some tinnies, eh? Yeah, well, let's get some beers and get on the tinnies. Go to the beach, eh? It's the same. It's like a way I explain it is Canadian.
I think one of my favorite
British opposite ends of the spectrum, but they're really, really close. Yeah. Boom.
Canada, man, that place sucks.
I agree. It's shit.
Where are you at right now, Josh?
My dad's British.
Dude, I think one of my favorite like British things is the whole like the saying "oi" to get someone's attention. Oi.
Oi. Oi, man. Yeah.
Oi.
It's yo backwards.
What's the craziest story you guys have had with a customer?
Oh my god.
Dude, I ran a national door knocking team. Like the craziest things have happened to my reps. Like insane stuff. I once had this is actually pretty good. We've all run teams, right? Let's do this. So I had, which one should I choose? Okay. I had this guy, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry if you're watching this, but he was a door knocker, not the biggest guy, right? Australian guy. Knocked on a customer's door. I think he was door knocking. I don't think it was a closing appointment. He got in. A customer's very, very nice to him. Then he started to get a bit weird. They sat down on the couch together looking at the power bill. And he started saying, the customer started saying something to my rep along the lines of like, I need to pray for you. I need to pray for you. And then it started getting a bit more extreme. He started saying like, you have the devil inside you. You have the devil inside you. It got to the point where he stood up over my rep and said, kneel down. I have to pray. I have to, get the devil outside of you. My rep stood up and said, nah, I'm leaving. He grabbed him. He wrestled him to the floor, broke my rep's leg. My rep pushed him off, ran to the front door. It was locked. He punched the glass door to get around to, I don't know why, the window at the side to open it from the front because the front was locked. The guy's grabbing on him. He elbows him. Bloody all of his hand, his legs completely snapped in two, opens the front door, runs out, and calls the cops. That's one of the crazy things. And then he was in my call center the next few weeks after he was recovering. I had a bunch of girls locked in garages, guns pulled out, but I'm sure you guys have had that.
Did he get the devil out of him?
He didn't get the sale, So
Yeah, that's
really,
that's the
what was the
important part.
point at the end of the day?
That's a pretty insane story. I was just gonna
That's
say,
nuts.
We had a
real
we had a
quick. I was just gonna say, I had
sorry, I've got a delay here. I don't mean to be talking over.
yeah, no,
I don't mean to
real
be talking
quick.
over people.
That was a major story. Mine was way worse, so I just want to mention it quick. I had a homeowner offer me a blunt
Oh,
while I was closing, and now I felt like that was the only way he was going to sign. So I smoked a blunt with a guy just to get a close deal with a homeowner.
that's so hardcore, Joe.
That's
You are.
So
such a-
Jesus,
That's. I guess I'm done. Should we
I
finish
can't
it off
top
that?
that one, Joe.
Yeah, was there cocaine inside the
Cocoa
blunt?
Puff.
Not that I know of.
So we had a this was a bit of a slow play. It took a while for this to like fully unveil itself, but we had this guy. He went and he closed the deal. I don't remember the customers' names or anything, but so we'll just say Bob and Mary. So like talked with the wife, and the wife was like, "Nope, I'm the sole homeowner." Blah blah blah. Signed up, all this stuff. And then we needed some signatures, and we just couldn't get a hold of this. Every time we tried to call, we were just only getting the husband. We were only getting Bob on the phone. We're like, okay, well, like, this is weird. And then, like, we keep trying to do this, and I'm trying to, like, sort this out. And, like, there's just definitely something weird going on. So, like, I called the rep, and he was like, hey, man, like, we keep trying to do this. And he's like, yeah, man, there was no husband, blah, blah, blah. And it took him a long time to get to. He's like, you know what? Like, it is weird, though. Like, it was a dude, and, like, he was wearing a dress and a wig when I answered the door. And 100%, like, what I pieced together was, like, this person had, like, split personality. And so, like, we were calling, and, like, I called, and she just kept saying, like, or he just kept saying, oh, Mary's not home right now, and Mary handles everything. And I was like, okay. And then so eventually I was like, hey, can you write a note down for Mary to call me when Mary's there? And he's like, yeah, I can do it. I was like, I need you to write it down. And then, like, 2 days later, Mary calls me, and it's 100% the same dude with, like, a slightly different voice. And then Mary is very amenable, opens up her emails, signs everything and all that. But it was literally like, it was like that movie Split. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but, like, it was like, but, like, piecing all of that together was definitely a little bit of a mind fuck. And, like, once I figured out what was actually going on, I was like, man, you can't make shit like this up.
Did you get the deal?
Yeah, we got the deal. It installed. We just had to get a hold of Mary. But it was literally like, oh, Mary's not here right now, but Mary was Bob.
Wow.
Okay. Well, that's a good one. What do you got, Danny? You're up next.
Well, you want one personally happen to me or somebody like in my group?
Well, what's something crazy?
Well, there was my buddy was out knocking in San Antonio, and he's getting into it with the customer, and they start yelling back and forth. The customer punches the sales rep in the face, and the sales rep goes back to his truck, and then runs to the guy's house. And when he went back to the truck, he grabbed a gun, and then he murdered the customer right in front of his family.
What the hell?
Yeah,
what?
I don't know if we can publish this. We can't publish this podcast
Bro, yeah.
now, Danny.
Yeah, it was
Clip it.
Oliver Joe.
it was pretty nuts.
Well, listen.
Yeah, straight up.
These are supposed to be funny stories, Danny. Not depressed. You're supposed to make me laugh, not make me depressed.
Wow.
It was pretty wild.
Let me add
trying to
a
find
similar
the-
story.
the,
This is
I have the
kind of
video
sad,
recorded
but
of it
it
somewhere.
goes in with this.
Daddy, get the hell out of here.
Yo, listen to this. So I had a homeowner,
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Straight up just murdered him.
super nice. Listen to that, super nice lady homeowner.
Talk about overcoming an objection.
Did he use feel found first though?
Jesus.
So I had
Oh.
a homeowner signed up, super
Putting these back on.
trusted me, and she signed up everything. Everything was good, and she had some issues with like domestic violence and her ex, and she was telling me stories. Long story short, she was installed, waiting for. I'm not going to name the company. Waiting for PTO. This is what happened. She passed away. She died before PTO even started. So after she died, after it was done, then she got an email. hey, Robin, you just got PTO. It was the craziest, saddest thing I've ever dealt with in my life. It was crazy.
Titan installs.
Hey,
Crazy.
Did you
installer.
get? You got to get the neighbor or the family member to sign into the email for
Oh
you.
man, I'm so sad. She was lived alone, and she had such sad stories. Every time I went over there and this happened to her, it was like heartbreaking. But anyway, I don't want to somber the mood here.
Did you get paid? Did you get paid on the deal at least?
Yeah, I did, but it doesn't make me feel good.
Oh.
I think my joke was the best there, but no one heard it.
We actually had that exact same. We had that exact same thing happen a few weeks ago, where like we were trying to get a hold of this guy to sign like the final documents and couldn't get a hold of him. Sent a rep out there to go take a look at it, and it was like, yeah, he died like 2 months ago. I was like, oh well, guess we're not getting that signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like who's the executor of the estate because he's the proud owner of solar panels. They just don't work right now, so he needs to sign this PTO doc.
Solution.
dude, that's nuts.
The split personality one brought another story to mind. So this was one of mine. It was like hour and a half drive out. Got there and they live in like these tiny home things, right? Almost container homes, but installable. So I'm like, sweet, rock in. Whole family's there.
Trailers.
No, like not even a trailer. It's built. I don't know. It's a very small home, but it wasn't a mobile home. Got there, whole family was there. Opened the door. His kids, his wife, parents-in-law, and everything. Everyone's smiling, right? So I'm immediately in there building rapport with everybody, and so eventually they left. They're like, "Oh yeah, you guys," and then he's like, "Very nice to meet you. Want some water? Want anything? Fantastic, awesome." And it eventually is him, me sat in front of him, and his 6-7-year-old daughter bouncing on his knee, right? And so nice atmosphere, and his kids, run around while I'm doing the pitch. Comes down to the close, so we're maybe 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in here. And I'm just going straight for an assumptive close. I'm like, awesome, mate. So grab your driver's license for me. We'll get this right done now. I'll bring my pad out, immediately start writing stuff down. This is back when there's paper instead of all you kids with your digital stuff these days. He looks at me. The second I get to the close, he does this. He goes from smiling to looking up at me and going, "Get the fuck out of my house." Deadpan. And I immediately caught off guard, right? This guy's been amazing the entire time. I said, "Sorry?" Again, just repeats himself. "Get the fuck out of my house." And I'm looking at him like, did I do something wrong? He waits like 5 seconds like a psychopath and he says, "The person who cold called me. I said I wasn't interested. And so I booked this appointment just to waste your time. Get the fuck out of my house."
Really?
And I'm good at handling objections, but I was thrown so off guard there. I'm like, "What? Well, and he just cuts me off and says, "Get out or I'll get my gun." Just deadpan. That was that I don't get affected a lot, but because that was such a crazy switch from emotional pouring into a customer for near an hour and just the immediate switch caught me so off guard. That was weird. Talk about a split personality. I've had ones like that before, but that was just psychopathic.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
That guy needs to get laid or
A
something.
lot of owners need medication, and they're off medication, and they meet. They can split on you real quick, bro. I've been through a couple of those for sure.
Yeah.
I
I have so many stories, just can't remember.
In my second or third month of solar, I took an appointment, and this was solar was my first like direct sales job, and it was I sold a customer, and they're like, "Oh, our neighbors are super interested," so I went over there, and it was like a middle-aged lesbian couple, and the one was like very nice, the other was just very, very mean, and just constantly being mean to me. And like I genuinely I'm pretty good in social situations and knowing what to say, how to let things roll off, but like I just got to the point where like I didn't even know what to say because this lady was just like emotionally abusing me like straight up, and I was just like eventually I was just like, "Man, like I'll be honest, like I don't think that I don't know if I've offended you or what, but like I'm sorry, like I don't think this is going to be a good fit. Like I think I'm going to leave." And she's like, "Well, why are you going to leave?" I was like, "Well, like I just don't get the feeling you're that interested, and like you're kind of being very rude." And she was like, "I'm not being rude." And I was like, "Okay." And then like she wouldn't let me leave, but I really wanted to leave because I was very uncomfortable. So I eventually just like I was like, "Hey, like there's lots of trees, so it's not even going to work anyway." And then left. And then
a few weeks later, I got a call from the customer who sold, and it's like, yeah, like, because for some reason they thought I didn't go. They thought a different rep went, and they're like, hey, just want to let you know that whoever the rep went out there, like, they were just very offended because they thought that, like they think that he didn't want to sell them because they were lesbians. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll look into that right away. Thank you for telling me.
Rough. Rough. Yeah.
Yo,
Customers.
you want to do
Definitely one of the strangest interactions I've ever had with another human being, for
We get
sure.
a lot of those.
Sales shows you crazy stuff. I still got a rep who owns a dog that someone gave him at the door once, a little puppy. And then he took that dog and started traveling the world with it. I'm sure it's the same in the U.S.
Was it a nice
door
dog?
knocking, you just meet the craziest people. It's an awesome time.
Thinking of meeting crazy people, we wanted to do a little segment to get to know you guys a little bit better, but make it short, sweet, and get to the right of the point. We call it 5 words or less. You guys are down?
Nice segue.
Very organic, Joe.
You like that, Josh? Go roll with it, baby.
All right, let's make it happen. So we got 5 words or less. There's 5 questions, and you each have to do one after the other. I'm going to hit you with the question. You give me 5 words to answer the question, and we move on to the next. You ready?
Ready?
All right. We're going Danny first. Danny, describe your fashion sense.
Do whatever I want.
Yeah.
James, describe your fashion sense.
Casual chic.
Oh, wow, with 2. That's got to be a record.
Ooh.
Danny, describe your personality. 5 words or less.
Buck around and find out.
Yep, that's valid. James, describe your personality.
Obnoxious and funny.
So
He's only using like 2
I'm
or
going
3
to stick
words.
with the 2.
Pretty good. All right, Danny, favorite vacation spot and why? 5 words or less.
Colombia, the coffee and women.
The correct answer, by the way. James, favorite vacation spot and why?
Miami or Austin, music scene.
Nice. Danny, why are you in solar? 5 words or less.
Innovate or die.
Nice. James, why are you in solar? 5 words or less.
Fuck bitches, get money.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to go with that. That's what popped into head. So
Perfect. Danny, last question here. 5 words or less. Describe the current political. Oh, no, sorry. That's the wrong one.
No, that would be-
Ultimate career goal. 5 words or less.
Improv and sketch comic.
Improv and sketch comic. Nice. James, ultimate career goal. 5 words or less.
late night talk show host.
Nice.
Well, this would be a good start for you.
Right on the money. That's pretty good. I like that segment. We should do it again. Love it. All right. What do you reckon? Day in the life?
Let's get
Or should we get into some current topics? There's some interesting things going on in the world right now. I think it would be interesting to get some solar sales people's takes on it because obviously we're the most intelligent people in the world right now. So
Speak for yourself.
okay.
At least the best looking.
At least. Okay.
Let's do a very detailed technical analysis of dealer fees. I think that'd be really interesting for people.
I think
I've got Excel open. I'll do a
I
screen
was
share.
I was more so going to go for these spy balloons and UFOs and aliens. First off, actually, I do wanna take this opportunity.
Man, I really hope that these unidentified objects we're shooting down aren't alien research vessels, because if so, in like 6 months, we're gonna have a very serious problem.
I have some good news for you, James, and I actually was going to take this opportunity now to announce a new project that I'd been working on. Unfortunately, there were. Well, look, how about this? We'll pop it up on the screen for everyone to see. But James and Danny, check out the chat. I threw a little link up there if you want to check that chat. Look, sometimes businesses go well.
Where is this?
Sometimes they don't. Go to the chat in the right-hand screen there.
Yeah, I see it. There's nothing in there.
And
I don't see it.
maybe because you guys joined after.
Yeah.
Here you go. Let me get this in front of you guys before I. So.
I'm gonna need you to get your shit together, Josh.
Good luck with that. People have been trying to get my shit together for a
Oh,
while.
balloon survey.
So look, I like I said, I did want to announce a successful launch on this podcast, but over the past few weeks, sometimes businesses go well, sometimes they go badly, and it just so happens that this is one of my ventures who it didn't succeed. I'd just like to say sorry to all my investors. I sort of fucked up there. I honestly didn't see it coming, but what can you do? So.
How much in VC funding did you get for this? Did you spend on this balloon venture, Josh?
Look, James. I don't really think that's an important topic right now. But let's just say I might be getting some calls from some Russians very, very soon.
All right, so eight figures for sure.
The best part is that he bought the domain, balloonsurvey.com. That's the best part.
That domain alone cost me $35,000. So that's look. Sometimes these work, sometimes they don't.
It's a good investment.
They do. Yeah, I just whatever. We'll move on though. Failure and success. So.
So we're gonna go ahead and send the balloons
I appreciate the dedication to a bit, Josh.
Hey, that took some.
Well, what do you guys think though? What about the UFOs? What do you reckon's going on?
No, that's not it. They're blaming UFOs because I think that honestly there is some kind of spy shit happening, and it's worse than we're really privy to, and so they're trying to redirect the narrative. I do believe that there are aliens, not as advanced as we would think, because if they were, there'd be more sightings of them. I think they're
Well, I mean, if they're capable of interstellar travel, they're doing.
Not in our planet, though. I don't know if they're necessarily on Earth. There's some people that are like, no, they're here on Earth. I think that somewhere in the galaxy, for sure, some kind of life form exists. I don't think that they're so advanced that they're living amongst us or we catch them. But what I do think is happening is there's more going on in the world than we're being aware of, and I think that the government does a lot of things to distract us from the big stuff that's actually happening.
There's some insane stuff happening right now during this Nord Stream pipeline.
That Ohio, honestly, screw the UFOs and balloons. That train in Ohio. Did you guys see the aerial shot of that cloud? And they're like, "Oh, don't worry, it's non-toxic." What? Animals are dying, but don't worry, it doesn't affect people. It's fine.
It's Ohio. Who gives the shit? It's just Ohio.
It's flat. They call it flyover country for a reason, baby.
It's just fucking Ohio.
But honestly, the best explanation, I mean, it honestly makes a lot of sense. I forget what it's called, but, there's obviously all sorts of biases and thinking and all that. But it's basically because of that balloon, we started actually looking for these smaller objects and recalibrating the radar because they have a very small signal. And now because we're actually looking for it, you see it. It's like if you buy a yellow Lambo, or a yellow car or whatever, you start seeing a bunch of yellow cars because you're thinking about it. So it's basically the same sort of thing going on there. But definitely a little bit weird for sure.
Yeah.
I never seen a.
But honestly, with a lot of the stuff, I'm just so busy trying to make my own reality that I don't want to get too bought into somebody else's. And I think a lot of it's just a distraction, and there's not much you can do. So you buy into the narrative of that stuff, and it takes you away from your main goals. And so for me, that's the non-fun version. But
no,
it's yeah.
Danny, I think you need to commit at least 2 hours a day to watching cable news. That'll really, I think, enhance your life experience.
Bro, I was listening to my mom was listening to stuff on the radio, and it's just so annoying. She's a boomer, so she's listening to all this nonsense. And
so she's all about that Rush Limbaugh, baby.
Mom, dude, this stuff is terrible. Why are you listening to this shit?
Fox News or CNN, Danny?
It was on the radio. I don't know. It was not.
And there's definitely conservative stuff. Talk show radio is dominated by conservative people.
Wait, James, what was your ultimate career goal?
Late night talk host.
Late night talk show host.
Okay, I think we've been able to identify some.
I think that'd be fun.
Actually,
well, no, that's radio. That's radio. That's different. Late night talk show hosts are mostly liberal.
That's true, actually. Huh? Okay, well, maybe there's a bit of a bias on the media, literally the medium here, radio versus TV. Interesting. Love it. So it's the consensus is not aliens.
No.
But if you guys
probably not aliens.
I would tend to agree.
Serious conversation, just bring up aliens because he's got serious. Once we started talking about aliens, he was like, "Whoa, aliens!" He got super serious.
I noticed.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. So, I saw something the other day that was the whole Mandingo effect thing. I know it's Mandela effect, but it was what's the capital of Australia? And I was like, well, I only know one city in Australia, so I don't know if I'm qualified to answer this question. Josh, what's the capital of Australia?
Oh.
All right, that's the right answer. See, I thought of Sydney, and that's why you got a bunch of Americans being like, they changed the capital of Australia. It's a glitch in the matrix. And it's like, bitch, name 3 cities in Australia. You can't. The only city you know is Sydney.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the only city there?
No, Australia's very.
I'm pretty sure it's
super weird. They have a tiny little state inside of another state, and it's one city, and it's the government city. But then the 3 cities that people, I guess there's 4: Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth. Everything outside of that is, I guess Darwin, but yeah.
It's kangaroos and poisonous
camels. Camels. There's camels are overrunning Australia right now. They're a pest.
Wait, that's a joke, right? There's no camels in Australia.
There are millions of camels in the outback in Australia.
No, I'm
look it up right now.
I'm looking it up right now.
They were brought over from the Middle East for transportation in I think it was the 17 or 1800s, and then they just started breeding like crazy because it was the perfect environment for them in the outback. Am I right, James? You looking it up?
Australian feral camels are feral populations of dromedaries imported from British India and Afghanistan during the 19th century for transport and construction during the colonization of certain parts of Australia.
That's like the Escobar hippopotamuses. You seen those? That's like
yeah.
I went there. I saw them.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, I saw them.
Oh my God. So drought conditions in Australia during the decade of the 21st century were particularly harsh, leading to thousands of camels dying of thirst in the outback. The problem of invading camels searching for water became great enough that the Northern Territory government to plan to eradicate as many as 6,000 camels.
Eradicate?
These camels are gonna drink all our water. We gotta kill them. Did you guys know that Australia went to war with emus officially?
What is that?
The Great Emu War.
I did not, but also you apparently. And you guys eat camel meat in Australia? Have you had camel meat?
I've not had camel. I've had kangaroo, crocodile. I've not had camel though.
I've had camel. It's all right.
Where have you had camel, Danny?
Have you really? Are you just saying you've done things, Danny?
I had it in Tunisia and Morocco.
Nice. Any good? A little salt? Tastes like chicken?
It's a little humpy.
He never had camel.
Use that word to explain any other food.
Yeah. The milk is really good.
Now he's definitely
really.
Yeah. It's a lot of
Does it taste like cow milk?
Camel milk is some of the most nutrient milk you can get. I had some in Tunisia, and it's literally the most nutritious breakfast. You eat dates and camel milk, and you've got like nutrition for like
I would think camel
a long time. Good. Really impressive.
That's why you have such nice skin.
Well, I have nice skin because I have surgery done, James.
At least he's honest.
I do micro needling, Botox. I do everything.
Nice one. Were you in Tunisia for Ramadan?
I'm 37. I'm 73 years old.
You don't look a day over 71.
Hell yeah, you're looking great.
Were you in Tunisia for Ramadan? Is that why dates were on the menu?
No, me and Joe were there for a TSA event in Sardinia, and then basically I took a flight over from Italy to Tunisia and visited all the Star Wars sites and did a sick ass tour. It was one of the most fun places I've ever been. Tunisia, no one even knows where it's at. So it's right by Libya.
The Transportation Security Administration?
No, the solar
What's
cap.
TSA stand for here?
TSA,
baby.
baby.
Yeah, so.
The TSA event. I don't think the TSA would be interested in you, Danny. Maybe Joe.
Maybe Joe.
Speaking of surgery to make your skin look nice, whenever I always, you sometimes see those people and they just clearly they've just done so much and the lips are just excessive or something like that. And it's always if I was going to go get stuff done to my face, I would go figure out which plastic surgeon the Kardashians use. And that's who I'd go to. Cause you know what? They're doing it right. But I don't know. People are going to Big Lots to get this stuff done. It's the blue light special Botox. And it's oh.
Not Danny.
Yeah. South America has a lot of really inexpensive places, and what's it called? Tijuana actually is very safe. I get my stem cells down there, so
I've never heard that term.
Tijuana
very safe before. Just saying.
Yeah, Tijuana.
Do you just drink the stem cells, or
I think they have a vial of baby blood. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, it's just I take it rectal.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's you get it. It comes with the side of adrenochrome.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to get that. They won't. I try to trick people. Whenever I go to these places, it's kind of like a joke. I'm like, hey, do you got the chrome? They're like, and they're like, no, dude. There's that isn't real. I'm like, bro, come on, I'm in, dude. Here, look at my account. Look, I show my login. My Bank of America, which is
I'm a member of the Screen Actors Guild. It's fine.
No, I tell them I'm a member of the Film Actors Guild.
There's a picture of me with Kevin Spacey. I swear to God. You try to use a different code word every single time you go, just in case you get the right one. The first one's Adrena, and then it's Chrome, and then it's just straight baby blood. Finally, you do it, and they're like, okay, yes, you're in now.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. It's just, dude, it's bro, do you really want to invest your energy thinking in that? And it's I used to love that stuff. I used to go down those rabbit holes. But just now that I'm getting older, it's I want to be.
It's
super.
It's not healthy, and it's it's not healthy. It's addictive, and it's I feel so this is probably a year ago, but it was people. It was kind of the hype of all that stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna look up some of these YouTube videos and see what this is all about. And I started watching it, and obviously, if you understand the psychology behind it, the way they use music, and then selective little pieces of information and all that, it's very influencing. And I started watching it, I get 10 minutes into one of these 30-minute videos, and I find myself going well, what if this is real? Hold on. I was nope, closing this shit. We're gonna go.
Jet fuel.
If this goes on, I don't care. I'm gonna go back to selling solar. So on that, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but it is very weird that that other building just randomly collapsed, that in a controlled demolition that wasn't even hit by a plane. That part's pretty freaking weird.
There are weird things. The dangerous thing behind that is tribalism, right? Because if you hole up and watch all this stuff, and then you find other people that share these, for example, the Flat Earth Society, right? The second you thought you were the only one, everyone laughed at all of your beliefs for your whole life, and then you felt very segregated. Then you find a group of people that share those beliefs. This is for everything. It's not just conspiracy theories. You get empowered by that because we all want to feel part of a tribe. And that's the most dangerous part. Tribalism can be very, very beneficial, but it can also be very detrimental. So
yeah.
No, dude, that's spot on, and it's actually, it's really, it speaks to a lot of the current political environment and all that. Where there's a girl that was part of the Westboro Baptist Church, that church that did all the crazy protesting at funerals, and God hates gay people, all that stuff. And she talked about how she got out of that, and the way she did, she started broadcasting her beliefs on Twitter, and she got a lot of, and when you approach someone like that where you're just like attacking them and all that, like all that does is make them double down on their beliefs and like, oh, I'm persecuted, they circle the wagons. And the way that she was able to escape that was there were certain people that reached out and messaged her and were just like very kind and understanding and just like, you know, meeting her where she was at and like not judging her and just being like, hey, like, I don't know why you think this way, but like this is like really not good. And she developed a relationship with those people, and that's what allowed her to leave it. And we just don't really see that happening. It's just immediately like calling someone a fascist or a communist and all that. And like all that does is make people double down and become more tribalistic, like what you were getting at.
Especially if you shut them up. If you shut them up, then everyone that they follow or whoever, let's not get demonetized here, but we know one individual, well, the old, I don't think I can say his name or they might take that video down, but bald guy with glasses that lives in Romania. The second you
Mike Tyson.
That's the guy. The second you shut someone up, you take the spotlight away from them, right? And so you can't actually allow healthy conversation. Whereas if you shine the spotlight on them, then we can actually discuss and see what's going on here. The good ideas will eventually win out. That's why it's interesting, yeah. Tribalism.
It's not
No bueno.
tribalism, it's extreme, right?
For sure.
When you have people of the same mindset in the same group only, and they get more and more extreme, right? So the key is diversity. Once you have diversification, now you're hearing other ways, other perspectives, and now all of a sudden your mind's getting wider as opposed to getting smaller. So it's about having multiple different kinds of mindsets in a group as opposed to having the same exact thought process. That's how you get more.
Joe, what is your take on having multiple pickleations in your picture right now? Because it's very hard.
Bro, it's because it's your computer.
Yeah, did you go to Circuit City and like time travel back, go to Circuit City and like buy a webcam from 1995?
It's fine because this is locally recorded, so although it looks bad there, it's going to look pristine when we clip it together. So you're all good, Joe. Don't worry about it.
Joe's getting triggered. He's like, it's fucking Radio Shack, I swear.
I'm still hearing a bit of an echo. So again, I think you guys screwed me on saying it was my fault. You guys were gaslighting.
You're sweet now. I don't hear an echo.
Well, I know. That's I'm saying. I still
It's your fault.
You're living in an echo chamber, James. Get out. What, did you already see it, Joe? All right, I got my next thing here, and you guys are. We did touring, you know, back in the day when I was running door teams and blitzes and whatnot, but it doesn't seem like anywhere close to the level that you guys have taken it out. My experience with blitzes, well, virtual is a different game, but back in the day, 90% of the population in Australia, for example, when I was big indoors, was sending with a virtual team set appointments, and then sending our guys up the coast, just every single city and hitting it. Want to talk records and blitzes? We did 60 deals between 3 reps in 2 weeks once on a blitz in rural ass Australia. Each rep got like 10, 11 deals a week. It's pretty nuts. What's the nature of blitzing right now?
Yeah.
Are more people catching on to it? Are you going super rural? How do you handle metering policies? Are you like specific in that, or are you just sort of let's go where no one's knocked before?
So, I mean, I think you definitely have to stay on top of that stuff, and I think that that's something that people don't necessarily pay a lot of attention to. I've definitely run into with people where, like, because I have people reach out to me for advice on, like, hey, here, like, you blitzed here, all that, and, like, people don't pay enough attention to net metering policies, or they just don't care, and it's like, oh, like, this is a super soft market, it's like, yeah, it's like, there's a reason no one's knocking there, it's because there's no net metering, it's a 2-cent buy all, sell all, like, you know, and, like, you can definitely go in there and, like, make a bunch of money, but like it's not sustainable and you're not ultimately doing right by people. I think that you can definitely have I think the best blitz spots are you don't want to necessarily be super rural, but definitely going outside of like some major cities and just really finding a honey hole and making a name for yourself there and then going there multiple times. You know, that's what we always did. A lot of people like they'll blitz Oklahoma 1 month and then they'll go to California and then they'll go somewhere else. And I think that if you can just go somewhere and be consistent, you can, you know, double down on referrals and all that. You know, if you blitz somewhere in January and then come back there in February, if you're doing your job right, you should have a whole bunch of appointments lined up in your first 2-3 days there and eliminate that build-up time because you've got referrals and stuff to go sit. And if you're not getting your guys to work referrals on that stuff, you're just missing out on a whole bunch of money.
What are your?
What do you reckon, Danny?
You've been doing this now, James.
It takes
Go
about
ahead, really quick, James. You've been doing this for a while. What are your favorite areas now that you're hitting and you're getting like the most engagement and most homeowners responding to yes to you?
That's you want the Coca-Cola
No,
recipe,
just
huh?
generally. I love
So Georgia was really good for a while. We loved Georgia. So Georgia had that very limited. It was the best urgency I've ever seen in anything because it was they literally had they introduced net metering and there was a 5,000 person cap to it. And you could they updated it once a week and you could go pull it up on a phone and show people like, yo, like this is that. So like we sold about 850 of those 5,000 accounts, which was pretty cool. And then we've gone to Idaho and various parts of Florida. We focused a lot on Houston over the last little bit, just because it's such a large city. There's all sorts of little pockets you can get here. Houston has 7.5 million people in the metro area. You're able to, it's so big, man. I moved here because I was spending 2 weeks out of the month here, and I was getting tired of sleeping on hotel beds. The wife was tired of me being gone all the time. And it's just crazy how big this city is. It's massive. It makes me think about people who live in some place like Tokyo or something where it's way more people in an even smaller area. Like that shit's got to be absolutely nuts.
Insane.
hey, leave Tokyo alone.
In Australia, if we have 1 million people in a city, we're like, this is crazy. This is good for us for like 3-4 years. When I hear when I first got to the state, there's so many amazing things you guys have in this market. It's insane. 7 million and what you could stay in one small section of Houston your entire career, pretty much. That is crazy. Texas has 3-4 million people more than Australia has the entire country. There's so much business. It's insane.
Yeah.
Do you still sell in Australia?
No, we're doing both at a certain
Yeah, it's
time.
like the price per watt's like 40 cents. The retail price per watt's like 60 cents or something, right?
Yeah, so I think I did the math. You can get a 7 kilowatt system for about US dollars, $2,500 right now. Doesn't mean everyone's selling at that, but a vast majority have hit complete rock to the bottom. So we were about half and half for a while until I actually saw the US market for what it was, and then any minute or any cent that you put in the Australian market right now instead of US, especially when you can sell virtually, is just like thousands of dollars lost. So we made the complete switch a few years ago. What's
Yeah.
So
what are you thinking, Danny? How's the blitzes going?
Yeah, I see a lot of it happening now. And obviously, I did blitzes for almost 15 years straight. Summer blitzes, and then I'd go 5-6 months hard, and then once a month I'd go out and do a blitz. And, a lot of it depends on permitting and how fast you can get those around the right EPCs. And it's a really fine game of finding the right partner that can go out there and get that shit on the roof quick. And it's true, it takes about 6 days of knocking to learn the flow of the market. There's a flow to the people and the culture. So bouncing around is doing you a disservice. Because my favorite market ever was Fayetteville, North Carolina, because there was 3 million of the same people. So I could time my presentation to be really dialed in. And so
Right.
same thing with solar, and when you do a blitz, it's just you've got to find out which type of people you're dealing with, what's the big jobs that are there, what big problems have happened in the community that has led them to get an article in the mail that their rates are going up. So a lot of these things are things you have to take into consideration. And then you got to realize, what type of demographic do you like selling? So I would go off the racial dot map and go off income, and then you find these little honey holes that people stumble across of, and they're fantastic. So there's a lot that goes into it than just like hearing something if you want to be successful at it.
Yeah.
Right
Like,
now,
Yeah, if you're not doing that research, like Danny, it's so cool to hear you say that, because like a lot of people, like they don't do that research and stuff. And it's like, before we would go blitz a market, we're looking at demographic data, population density, all that stuff. And it's like if you're going into a new market, like on a blitz, it takes you some time to get momentum and all that stuff. So like we would always sell about double in the second week what we sold in the first week. And if you're constantly going to new markets, you lose. Like once you've been going to a market a few months in a row, you can really start to condense that down so that you're not always having to build all that momentum up.
Yeah, 100%. And then, they think that, managers want to excite their reps by going to new locations because they can't run proper systems and they have to rely on hype or new markets to get them dialed in so they don't lose their recruits. Mm-hmm. Whereas in reality, it's like, those are gimmicks that work part-time that, allow you to put a Band-Aid on the shortcomings of your organization. So I would be very careful.
It's like when people ask, like, oh, what's the best place to go sell? What's the best place to go sell in? And Danny, you just kind of alluded to this. It's like, well, where do you have a healthy relationship with an EPC that is going to take care of your customers, is going to get it installed quickly? And like, you don't want to, especially if you got a bunch of new reps, you go blitz a market. Even if you got the best EPC in the world, you go blitz a market where it's going to take 2 to 3 months to install. Like, hopefully you've got some M1s or something like that. But, the best market to install in is the one where you've got an established, relationship with an installer that's going to take care of people and do right. Because, like, we, in our early days when we first started doing that, like at one point, like we went and sold and like it was our first time hitting 100 deals in a blitz. And then like there was like, oh, like this guy, like he ran off with a bunch of the money and all this stuff. And I was like, what do you mean he ran off with the money? And it's like, I don't really care. Like, you can pay me the money. Like, I've got reps asking about deals and stuff. And, you can end up in those situations. And a lot of people, like, if you're not already established and have all that cash flow and stuff, getting in that sort of situation can be, really, really difficult. Like, that was one of the most stressful situations I've been in. Because, if you're just getting, established and all that, it's, that something like that can really throw you for a loop for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
but hey, if you haven't had someone screw you over for 5 figures, are you really in solar? Because probably not. That's like the rite of passage. You got to lose like 5 figures on jobs.
Yeah, that's one thing I really am happy about. I get people always asking me like, "Hey, who's the right companies to go with?" And I always point them in the right direction. It's cool to know that, like, if people are smart, they're going to ask an expert for advice. Because I hear all the stories. I hear everyone comes to me when they get screwed by companies and they say, hey, bro, what do I do in this situation? This guy did this. And, I have a lawyer that's really helpful for dealing with those situations. But, dude, like, it is not all it's made out to be. One of these clients that I almost signed, that I took on as a client, that I was going to do their training platform for them, and something seemed off, and basically they reneged on the deal, and then the next week they went out of business. So it's like, wow, they went from bragging about how much money they had to now completely shutting down an operation in a state. And it's like, if I would have put my name on that, that would have been bad for me. Because the money's one thing, but if you endorse a company that's going to screw somebody, that's very, very brutal. And I had that happen with a recruiting company I recommended that ended up not panning out for anybody. They had good intentions, but the product sucked, and I trusted them as friends, but I'm not doing that anymore. I will not recommend anybody unless I try the product and service. And so that's why it's very, very, you can't just like go off feelings and emotions. You've got to ask experts, and, it's the key.
And I do feel like blitzing in particular has gotten like a lot more popular in solar. When we first started doing it at COVID, it was like out of necessity, and no one, like, obviously it was very popular in alarms and pest control, but no one in solar was doing it, or at least not really talking about it. I think that's one of the ways that like I really like, if people know my name, like a lot of people still associate it with like those posts, because I was just very active on social media, and just like I remember like I made a post like when I was like 30 deals in a week, and like we were so freaking proud of it, and like looking back on, I see some of the memories and stuff pop up, and I was like, oh, that's really cute. But, we just really kind of put that out there, and like now it's just like it's definitely a lot more than it was before, for whatever reason. But I do think that people get shiny object syndrome, like they're just always like, if you're just always bouncing around and then blaming the installer or blaming this or whatever else, it's like, no, dude, like the common denominator in all your dysfunctional relationships is you. That being said, there are a lot of extremely dysfunctional installers in solar. It's like my job basically turned into a glorified project manager at a certain point.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad you said that because I was going to start off with saying, people ask me all the time, especially on the virtual side, it's like, if I can sell anywhere, I can sell anywhere. Where should I sell? My response is always, what about the installation? You're completely missing the point. Like, sales don't mean anything. We're going to live off your M1s. What happens when all your jobs cancel or don't get installed? So it's install first. But
Yeah.
then I'll get people, I'll take a look at my calendar and I have some meeting notes, and it's very obvious the common denominators. They'll list out, I go in here, I got screwed. I went here, I got screwed. I went here, I got screwed. I just need a good spot to go. And I'm like, there's something off there, man. Something's going on. I don't know if I want to even touch this because you're getting screwed everywhere. Certainly, there's bad installs, but it sounds like something's up.
That's the biggest red flag, 100%, Josh, is when people are just all with, if someone's been screwed at their last 3 jobs, like they're the problem.
Yeah.
Something I heard a little while back, and I wish that I had heard it 3 years ago, was that if you're managing reps and all that, and like if they come up in a negative context like 5 times in a week, and you've been doing your job and like engaging with them, trying to coach and all that, but it's just like 5 times in a week it comes up, like just get rid of them. Like, it's because some people don't, like, they're just maybe not in the right spot. Maybe they're great people, and like, I think as a manager you always want to be seeing the best in people, and that's a good thing. But if you don't hold people accountable and like set firm boundaries for like what's acceptable, and if you're just constantly spending all this energy, it's just, it's the natural tendency to spend, you end up spending 80% of your time with the people that are causing all the problems, and that ends up creating animosity with your top performers, because it's like, oh, like, what do I need to do? Start being a piece of shit so you give me attention?
Yeah, it's like similar to girls or women that talk about their exes. They always talk about their exes and how horrible they were. Oh, this ex was horrible. This ex was... I'm like, there's a common denominator here. That's one of the biggest red flags for me. A girl immediately, without asking, starts saying about how horrible her ex was. You can almost just straight up ask them, "How's your ex?" "Oh, he's such a." "What about the one before?" "Oh, don't get me started on him." It's like, okay, well, something's going on here.
Well, that's because people, like, guys and girls both, just like constantly end up dating the same types of people. It's like, they get out of one toxic relationship, and then it's like, bro, like, you need to be like single for a little bit, like, or learn who you are, blah blah blah. And then 4 weeks later, they're like, this girl like looks like the last one, and like she's got like this, like, like, dude, I don't want to be a negative Nancy here, but I feel like I know how this is gonna turn out.
But you don't.
Yeah.
That's
Go for it, Joe.
Are you still a young single stud, Josh?
I don't know about young, but single for life for sure.
single for life.
Single for life, huh?
Oh yeah. Too busy with solar.
What about you, Danny? You're married. Danny, are you married?
Oh man.
I'm married to the game.
No.
Yeah,
Joe, you are, right?
11 years.
Brenda's right behind the camera right now.
11 years.
She's right by my side.
Joe, did you get married when you were 19
Bro,
or
I'm
what?
like the oldest person in the solar industry. I'm 44 years old. That is like a senior in the solar industry. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's ancient. I don't even know if you're allowed to
I don't know
continue
why they
to
keep
work
letting me
here.
do it, but they do. Yeah, I wanted to bring up something because we were talking about blitzes and going to different areas. And Danny, you're doing this awesome setter closer tour, and you're taking a lot of your experience from blitzing and going to different neighborhoods to now going to city of training. And how is that similar? How's it going so far?
It's been fantastic. So as we're ramping up, obviously, for SolarCon, we wanted to get more exposure for our brand out there. And so basically, I'm leading a 2-day workshop to select markets to teach what the top sales reps and setters and closers are doing across the country to get more deals. So as a consultant, I'm able to, obviously have been doing it so long myself, take what I know works as law in the space, and then add on the new sprinkles that are working in today's marketplace, that aren't working 2 to 3 years ago because solar is innovating so much. And so, dude, it's been crazy, bro. I've been literally working with like professional authors, professional like writers to get this thing dialed in. It's literally going to be the best piece of content, the longest piece of training like in the solar space. It's literally going to be 8 hours a day, workshop style, Q&As, and then we're going to have guest speakers come in, the best setters and closers in each market. So I'm really freaking pumped, dude. It's starting to come together. It's a lot of work. I'm stressed, but yeah, the industry needs it right now for sure.
What cities and how'd you pick the cities you chose? What states? I mean,
LA, Phoenix, Dallas, Orlando, Salt Lake, and Denver. It's just basically where like I know a bunch of my buddies are at, and I know that's good.
I don't think there's any solar salespeople in Salt Lake.
All the I know a moose up there.
There's maybe two.
Yeah. And they're in the Airbnb.
But no, Danny, I've seen the ads and stuff for that setter closer stuff, and I think you've done a really good job marketing that and just kind of making it something that's very appealing, especially to people that are early on in their career. Is that kind of who you're trying to target and appeal to there? Is get that? Like what's kind of like what if you could summarize like what your goal is with that? Like what are you trying to accomplish with that tool?
Basically, what ends up happening is, so the best is all came from Vivint, right? So it's undeniable that the best has ever came from Vivint. And so Vivint has given way to Legacy, has given way towards all these companies. And so the best at Vivint, I actually got to learn from VSLR, all of these guys. And so, because they basically innovated this whole space for everyone. So the thing is the top guys that build Vivint, they have a lot of prodigies. But those prodigies run companies. So those techniques are only learned if you work for them. Me, fortunate enough, I was able to work under John Frampton, Doug Robinson, Casey Ball, Jeff Mendez, Bodie Gardner, Cody Babel, Jared Young. And so all these guys had a way of growing the industry like crazy, and I got to learn from them. And so now the people that they taught run their companies, and there's no one else teaching this new innovative skill sets from the top. So I'm actually able to take that stuff and teach it in a way that no one else has seen before. And some of the stuff that's worked for generations and some of the stuff that's working now, and putting it in there to start educating people on the right mindset. Because what people think, that techniques are important. They're very, very important, but there's a mindset that makes someone different from the last guy that knocked on their door. And it's what's going on in their mind before the doors, getting ready for the doors, and getting ready to make cold calls, getting ready to make virtual calls. All of these things come into play. And so that's what I'm teaching. Because a lot of this stuff got lost in the Raiders of Lost Ark. Gone. So, and the people that know it, they're not going to teach you unless you're working for them.
It's really interesting hearing you saying about.
No, it's definitely 100% sorry, Josh.
It's really interesting hearing you, and I've heard it before about how Vivint was the start of it all. I grew up in the exact same thing in Australia. In Australia, it was a marketing company we call dealers in the US here called Smart Group. Yeah. Smart Group was owned by the OGs of the equivalent space. The reps of Smart Group, so what were my mentors, my bosses, right? And so everyone from solar, from energy, all the big industries came from Smart Group, and I came on as a rep of their reps. It's just trickled down because now some of my reps are now big timers in Australia. It's so fascinating how one culture, maybe there is others out there, but there's always one that culture just skyrockets where they set everything. And the OGs come in from other industries. They set the culture. They have the mindset. And then that power lasts like 3 or 4 generations of sales. But then you're right. I think I'm probably the last generation in Australia where it sort of stayed with it. Because then after it waters down three or fourth generations, people forget. It's like ancient mystery. It was lost in translation. And then me and the people above me will look at the younger generation of sales guys and say, "You're soft as fuck. Like, what happened to you? If my bosses saw you do what you were doing, you're gone. Less than a day, you're gone, right?" How do we get that back? Because I'm from that. How do we get that fire back into the sales guys? What's the key there?
The new content, giving them new information, is going to allow them to be more excited, which will then they take that excitement, they close more deals. When they close more deals, their confidence go up, their expectations go up, and the more expectations go up, that continues to drive as long as they get into proximity of powerful people.
Yeah.
The thing is the only way you're going to be in a proximity of a power person is if you go work for that company. But most of the time, those people already have their right-hand man, so you're not going to get close to it. If you're not close to the guy that writes the front of the check, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, you got to go spend money to get around other powerful people. I made my tickets $300. It's cheap. And the only reason I'm charging for it is if you don't pay for it, you're not going to pay attention. And so that's the thing, is it's a trick. Mm-hmm. And, it's a trick to get them to buy into themselves. Because if they're going to go there, they're going to listen to it. So to answer your question, it's from the beginning rep, the intermediate rep, and then the advanced rep. There's going to be a lot of stuff that they already know, but taught in a way that it's replicatable, so they can take that information and train it in a scalable system that can duplicate results without them having to manually do it themselves. So then, to kind of really just make it a no-brainer, the number one sales rep in the market is going to be doing a training. So if there's a sales rep who's like, "Oh, I'm already good, screw Pesci, I don't need to go listen to him." Okay, well, I got a guy in California that sold 575 deals last year. He sold 10 times more than you did. So you don't want to spend $300 to hear from him? Mm-hmm. He made $5 million last year.
575 accounts in a year, and you did you verify that too? Because that's
every
insane.
Single one. Yeah, he runs a setter closer program.
Yeah, that's 2 deals. That's almost 2 deals a day.
Consistently.
He runs a setter closer program
every day. That's wild.
Yeah, bro, and he breaks it down. So,
but no, Danny, it's definitely Danny, I think that's why your stuff resonates. Is like I don't know you very well, but I think that I've always gotten the vibe that Joe, Josh, like I've seen some of your content and stuff too. It's really cool to interact with you guys now. But like you both, all three of you guys seem just very genuine, and that you have to charge for something like that, because people, if you don't charge for it, people don't value it. But I've always like that content, everything comes across as like you're genuinely trying to help people out and again, just like get them to realize there's a different way of thinking about things. And that's something that we've always driven home, where it's like, hey, like, I don't care if 6 other solar companies have knocked on this neighborhood. They haven't talked with you. And I think that like as a side effect of everything trickling down from Vivint, like so much of the sales pitch, like, dude, I get sales pitch. Like I've had different people send me their sales just because I'm curious. Like, hey, like, what's your door pitch? And like the door pitch it's the exact same like across all industries, and it's basically like a modified version of like a Vivint sales pitch that's just been trickled down because these guys have been doing door to door for so long. So if you're able to like actually do something a little bit different, distinguish yourself, and like I hate the whole like building rapport. Like, I don't like talking about that because, like, it just seems so artificial. And, like, there's no, like, arbitrary, like, oh, build rapport. It's, like, just, like, make a genuine connection with other people. Like, if you're going out there and, like, trying to build rapport because someone's got a Steelers banner in their front yard and you start pretending like, oh, I pretend you like the Steelers or whatever. Like, no, like, don't pretend you like the Steelers. If you hate the Steelers, like, tell them that and, like, you know, make it, like, a joke or something like that.
Call them a bitch.
And just actually be genuine with people and, like, instead of, like, trying to build rapport, like, have a genuine human connection with another person. And I always tell people, like, hey, like,
you can pretend to be interested in other people, but you know what's a lot easier than learning how to pretend to be interested in other people is teaching yourself to be interested in other people. And if you can do that, like that's what, everyone's favorite topic is themselves. So if you can go out there and like set yourself apart and like have, a genuine human connection with people out there. I always tell people like that's one of the coolest parts about that job and just going out and interacting with random people is a lot of the aggro and stuff that you get on the door doesn't have anything to do with you. It's like these people are freaking anxious, nervous wrecks, and you knock on their door and they just want to make you go away because like, oh, there's a stranger here. And if you can just show like, hey, like I'm actually a cool person, like you're doing them a favor because you're showing them something that's going to save them tens of thousands of dollars over 20 years. And you're letting them interact with like a cool person. And like, if you can give them that, like that increases their faith in humanity and makes them feel better. Cause like, oh, like maybe everyone's not an asshole. Cause that's another one of my big red flags is when someone says people suck. Fucking hate that. It's nonsense. No, people don't suck. Most people are pretty all right and trying to do their best. They might not be the greatest, but if you say people suck, you probably suck.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So this sort of bleeds into that, and it's interesting. At least me, Joe, and Danny being on the side of more of the consulting. I don't come from the consulting world. 90% of my career was on the doors or on the phones myself and running teams. But then moving into the consulting, the next question I have is, and I'll start with what I'm seeing. The question is, what are we seeing in solar right now that we haven't seen before? Here's something that I'm seeing. And I guess I'm a part of it, at least on the virtual world. And I'm sorry for using this word, but it is a good word to use, is a decentralization of training. And what I mean by that is, at least in Australia, I don't know how it was in the US in the mid 2010s while I was hitting Australia hard, but in Australia, when you found something good, so for example, we started Digital Marketing Australia years ago. We're the first ones to run Facebook ads, whatever, and we didn't tell anybody. Because we were centralized. If someone didn't sell for us, no fucking chance we told anybody what we were doing. Someone would ask us, how are you guys getting so many leads? Like, how do you sell? Like, yeah, we're just lucky. But now it seems as though because of the internet, because of everything's happening, the Facebook groups, there's so much knowledge out there, but then there's so much shitty knowledge, right? Yeah. And now it's come to the point where you can get this knowledge. You can interact with people. Danny, if you're bringing a guy who's done 500-600 deals, like somebody wants to meet him. Doesn't mean that they have to join his team, but they can have the opportunity to meet him, right? They can have the opportunity to learn from him. That never happened. Someone like him back in the day would keep his mouth shut for his entire career. But now there's opportunity and platforms to learn from these types of people. And then you also mentioned on the pricing. I know it sounds weird, but I've directly seen this. If you don't charge people for this, or you charge too little, they don't give a shit and they don't even show up. We used to do boot camps, and it was a month-long boot camp, and I would charge $1,000, right? And everyone would show up the first day, and they're bright-eyed and bushy. And what I would do is for all my boot camps, I make people get on the phones. It's not just like teach. So give it a week, at least a few people would drop off. Week 3, half the people were there. Every single boot camp, the last day of the month-long boot camp, there would be maybe one person there. And the thing was that one person had closed like 4 or 5 deals, right, during the boot camp. So I'm like thinking like, why the hell is this happening? Deals are being closed. There's insane value here. That's because they paid $1,000. They don't give a shit, right? They're paying whatever it is. And so I realized I'm like, this is so strange. I have to charge people more just so they get results, right? It's such a it's an interesting, and I'm not from the guru consultant space, so it feels weird. But I actually saw if I actually want to help, I have to make it substantial enough for them that they engage. But that decentralized knowledge is such an interesting thing, right? It's like you would have to join a solar company in order to get trained. Now there's knowledge online, as long as you go to the right people, that you can learn things that you were never able to learn before. That's my thing that I'm seeing. What about you guys?
And what's No, and what's interesting is that I'm seeing it seems like more and more of the companies are actually outsourcing their training to guys like you as well, which is interesting to see. But it's like I've always been pretty free with information, and then sometimes I wonder if I'm almost too much, but I really don't think so because like Josh, if I help you out with like how to run a blitz, or like Danny helps me out with like how to run a door knocking team because he's been doing that shit for way longer than me, like how does that negatively affect me by sharing that information? It's like it's like 3% of homes in solar, or 3% of homes in the United States have solar. Like if I'm not able to differentiate, myself and my team and my product enough just because I gave you guys a little bit of information and like saved you from making some mistakes that I did, then like what am I doing? But I don't know, maybe I need to be charging people $10,000 for it.
Well, this is the mindset of scarcity versus the mindset of abundance. And I came from a culture of mindset of scarcity, where you didn't tell anybody your secrets. If you had an idea, right, you thought that idea was going to be the thing that made your career. But what I've learned probably too recently is that mindset of abundance, just do everything for people. It always comes back to you. It's so much more beneficial. And also, if you have that mindset of scarcity where you think your idea is the thing that's going to make you a billionaire, you often never act on that idea. Very few people act. And so you keep it inside, oh, what are you working on? Oh, I can't really tell you right now. It's like, come on, man, give over. Let's all come to the table. And I see it in solar a lot. I see it in the groups and everything. I always reach out to people. Joe, for example, super transparent. Anything I have a project, Joe's like, I'm on it. Let's do it. But others would be like, oh, I don't really know, I got to protect my. I'm like, come on, man, let's just do stuff. Let's just.
It's that tribalism thing that you were talking about earlier, where it's like a natural human instinct for like, if I don't know you that well, like I immediately, like my gut response isn't like, oh, I'm going to help this guy out. It's like, oh, like this guy's going to like steal my food if I like help him out.
Yeah.
So what did you have to start charging for people to take it seriously? Because $1,000 for a 30-day boot camp is definitely pimping yourself out there.
I cut the boot camps. We just include them in VSC now because it's like I don't want to be put in 30 days, yes. So we changed it up. But it was really interesting for us. You
got to get people that are willing to invest in themselves for sure. Like that was the first time I had ever invested in anything was for that solar cheat code thing with Bill. Like back, this was like 2019, I think. So like the early days of that. Mm-hmm. And like I was still pretty new to solar, and like I was like my past was like I spent my 20s being like I was like 30% alcohol, cocaine, and other drugs by volume, like back in those days. So I was coming out of that. And, that I think that he was charging like $5,000 or something for it at the time, which that I was like, all right, I've got like one business credit card. It's got like a $6,000 limit. So I'm going to put this on there and hope it works. But like, like when you do something like that, like I was literally freaking like poring over and studying all that shit all day on 4th of July because I bought it July 3rd, and 4th of July, like when you do something like that, you're going to take it seriously. But if you don't have any buy-in or anything like that, then people they don't value it. And exactly, you're offering this amazing training for 30 days and people show up. And then how many of those people that stopped showing up were like sending you messages saying that it was your fault that they didn't have any deals and they wanted their money back?
I'm very counter industry where I tell people from the get-go, I put everything on them. So I'm probably an outlier when it comes to that, but I have had zero things ever. No one has ever come back to us and said, oh, it's the leads are shit or this is shit. From day one, I'll always be like, you might get zero, and you probably will. And so I put that filter up. But now, instead, if we do boot camps, we do our solar villas. So they actually have to fly in. So people don't miss those. They're fun though. They're better than me sitting at a computer for 30 days.
Yeah, but everyone hates staying in a villa though. Like that sounds awful.
Yeah, it was horrible. White sand beach in the Caribbean.
What actually is a villa? What makes a villa?
It's like a village.
What makes a domicile a villa?
I would say it has to be in a tropical climate. It has to have at least three. Now, I guess there's some nice one-story villas on a beach, palm trees, and a tropical climate. That's the difference between a mansion and a villa, in my opinion.
Now you know.
So a villa is you actually are very spot on, dude. A villa is a
Really?
one-level structure offered with an exterior patio and a front garden or terrace.
That's pretty broad, but sure, call it that.
Well, speaking of this,
Yeah, but I mean, your description was pretty on point.
just
There we
really
go.
quick, speaking of this conversation, my delay is killing here. Sorry, guys. But reminds me of what I've been
You're also very quiet.
Gary V. That's what I've been really seeing. That's where that value, that give value, and then eventually, left hook. So Pessy, I see you doing a lot of that, giving value, not really asking for stuff, but then you do that left hook, right? Is that part of your philosophy? Do you kind of go with the same Gary V style?
Well, that's what I ended up doing. I was knocking doors a lot, and I got really good results, and people would just ask me for stuff. So I would just record videos of me having fun with my clients, selling, and then it eventually turned into a movement. People were hashtagging me, tagging me with their deals. I was leaving stickers with clients. They would put them up on their house, hashtag Pessy Special, and it was a picture of me. And so it was a whole thing. I kind of took off, and then I was like, bro, I've been in this coaching group. I could just do this in door to door and really focus on the solar space. And then I did a boot camp with my boy McCarthy, and it took off. And then the rest is history. And it's to talk about the price point. The thing is people. What I found is people want the results without doing the work. The money is the easy part. Spending the money is the easy part. Doing the work is the hard.
Yeah.
And that's why it's to get someone's attention, you have to have a high ticket item to really get them to feel the pain. And so my boot camp started off at 2K for 6 weeks, 3K, and then 5K. And we sold out within days. I totally spit sunflower seeds all over myself. Hell yeah, that motivates me. But yeah, the thing is the market will tell you what they're willing to pay for, and the results work because they paid so much freaking money. The last boot camp we had 50 reps do 1,200 accounts in 60 days. So it's
That's awesome.
We had bigger production than most solar companies, just in a little boot camp.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because when you combine content,
I think that's something that's been very common in solar, and if you've never sold in a market where it's a bill increase, you're not necessarily you don't even really necessarily know how to sell solar. If you're not able to sell the long-term value in a market where it's $20, $30, $40 more a month, then I think that a lot of people, especially because it's a lot of young people where solar is their first sales job, and they're not even asking for people's business. The whole pitch revolves around oh, you don't have to buy anything, it's no money down, all this stuff. And it's no, you need to be able to go into a market, and if it's $20, $30, $40 more a month, you should still be able to pitch that. And I think with these increase in dealer fees and all that stuff, people are really people that weren't able to do that are really getting just slapped around. I mean, we're all getting slapped around hardcore right now. But, the people that are used to just always just pitching bill decreases or bill matches, they're not, if you're in another industry selling a $40,000, $50,000 product, you are accustomed to asking people for money, hey, you're asking them for business. And so much, I feel a lot of the solar sales training and stuff was just focused on oh, they don't have to buy anything, it's no money down. That's just a very weak way to approach it. And ultimately you end up with a lot of very high maintenance customers where maybe you knock down their bill, but now they're calling and bitching at you and unhappy because they have a $14 connection fee. And it's yo, what are you talking about? This is insane. This should never be a problem. And I think that with all these dealer fees and stuff, and this can maybe segue into a different conversation, but I think that we're going to see a pivot back to third-party owned products more so than that's the easy answer to all these higher interest rates and stuff. Leases and PPAs.
You're speaking my language on the sales strategy. So in Australia, we only have 5-year finance terms. What that does for the monthly is they're paying double from day one. So, and this is the same with all global markets. Now, what's happened in the U.S. is because we had 25-year, 30-year finance terms, ITC, bills through the roof. Everyone is used to what I call magic pill solar. You push one button and you're good because you have one-to-one net metering. And very, very few people have figured out in the U.S. actually how to sell solar, it being not a magic pill, but a tool that your customer can use improperly or properly. And so when you're used to selling solar as a tool, meaning, hey, Mr. Customer, I can give you this tool, but if you don't use it properly, if you understand your self-consumption during the day, then your bill's not going to go down as much, right? And so people are going to have a real hard time figuring this out when 99% of the time they've always been able to go California, oh, boom, your bill dropped by $100 day one, boom, signed here. And now they have to figure out, wait, the customer doesn't have to save from day one for solar to have value? No, that's impossible. I'm moving to another industry. It's like, oh, you're lacking what solar actually has, the value that it has. The people will buy solar purely for the independence. In fact, they will pay more money per month for the independence. Now, is that the easier sell? Hell no. But that's what people have to get used to, it being a tool of so much more than just here's $100, $200 savings from day one. We're going to see probably an exodus.
Yeah, it's like is going solar and sorry, this damn delay is killing me. But yeah, it's like if you can't sell someone, it's like even if it's $60 more a month, like if you can't build value on like this being worth $2 a day, like
yeah.
But yeah, so like on that though, and maybe I've never sold in California. I don't know if you guys have, but like these people, like from what I understand it, California, even if you're selling at like a crazy high rip, all that, and even with like, I see people, I'm a nerd, so like I'll read like actual like rate sheets and all that stuff. And it's funny, sometimes I've tried to give people advice on like, oh, don't go to this market. Like, like this is what the rate sheet says. Like, well, there's multiple ways to interpret that. And I was like, yeah. There's one right way and a lot of wrong ways, and you're interpreting it very incorrectly right now. But like even with like NEM 3.0, like it's still going to be a lot of savings. It's just not as significant as before. But like, why do you think that so many people in California, is it the approach or what's going on? Because like my understanding is basically that like you can, even selling at $6 a watt, drop people's bills in half.
That's why.
But you still just run into a lot of people that just like aren't interested and don't buy it. So like why, like what on earth is going on where someone's not willing to decrease their $400 a month electric bill to $200? Like to me, that's just insane.
Well,
like, because we're used to selling in places where at best it's a bill match, or a lot of times it's an increase. So having never sold in California, that's always something I've been interested in, like where the disconnect is there.
It's the people that are attracted. Let me jump on this, King. The people that are attracted to like lowering bills means it's less. They instantly think that's less work for me. And so those type of people want easy deals, and they're not going to be taking the time to learn skill set and techniques that can help push customers over the edge when they can just go to the next door and wait for someone to be like, oh yeah, save my bill, thanks, sign me up. Like those people who rely on savings and don't want to learn like a professional sales trade, they don't want to learn how to actually persuade and sell solar for what it can be. Those are the guys that aren't going to spend any money on coaching. They're going to be like, no, my company can train me. Like, no, I'm good. Like those are the type of people that want the easy deals, that don't want to learn the true art form. And then that's the guys that are going to leave this industry once it starts to become a little bit more difficult.
Mm-hmm. And to answer your question there, James.
That's really kind of connects with. Sorry, go ahead.
To answer your question, this is what my theory is, and I've seen this happen in Australia already. So this is my best guess. We're in a phase 2 market right now. I think there's 4 phases in every solar market. Phase 1 is nobody has no idea what the fuck solar is. Phase 2 is solar is a scam. Phase 3 is I know I'm going to go solar at one point. I just need to find the right guy. And phase 4, I've already had 2 or 3 solar systems. Now I just go rock bottom pricing. I think phase 2, the US is in phase 2 right now. A lot of people, they think solar and they attach it to pushy salespeople. So it doesn't matter how amazing your product is, because it is attached to the word solar, they're out. Try to do some cold calling right now and say solar within the 5 seconds. See what happens.
Boom.
Right? So it's probably same on the doors, unless you're an absolute weapon like Danny. So if you have, there's some great social experiments like this. Look up on YouTube, trying to give people $1,000. So trying to give people $100 cash. Yeah. Go up to someone random in the streets with a $100 bill and say, hey, this is for you. What are they going to do? They're going to be like, no, what do you want? No, I don't want it. Right? What's the thing going on right now? Take it or double it, give to the next or something. You seen those ones? And everyone's like, I don't really want it. And what salespeople need to do is they realize that this is weird now. Customers are like, no, why? It's too good to be true. This is a scam. What the good guys do is when they go up to that person in public, they say, hey, I have $100. You can have it if you do 10 jumping jacks for me on camera. Then there's an exchange of value. Then they say, oh, wait, this might be legitimate because I have to put some work in. And that's the difference of selling solar as a magic pill. Oh, you decide immediately you save money. Customers like, it sounds like a scam. But then when it starts moving into, okay, solar is interesting. It might work. I have to put some work in here. Then it becomes valid. All right.
It's the same thing as giving your boot camp away for basically free, where people just assume, like, they don't value it and all that. And it's like, I think even more so than like thinking it might be a scam, you offer someone $100. Like, what they're thinking is that, like, oh, like, what am I going to have to do later? Like, what's the unspoken thing? And I think that's, Danny, you hit the nail on the head, where like that's like they're not being good salespeople and overcoming that. And I think that, like, a lot of the people, like, they're just not used to, like, you need to have someone telling you no, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes into your presentation. Like, if you're getting your first no after you've fired all the arrows in your quiver, like, you're screwed, because people say no. I think it was Zig Ziglar that originally said people say no based on what they know. And if you've already given them everything that you have, like, you can't change the value proposition there, and you're not going to be able to convince them to do it. That's like, we lucked out on our team where it was like my partner that's always Austin, who's managed this stuff. My team's 50-50 with him this whole time. He was a former timeshare guy in Vegas, and right when Austin Pena. But he lived in Vegas for a long time, and a lot of connections out there with the timeshare people. And timeshare just like straight up disappeared when COVID hit. They shut it all down. So we were able to get a lot of say what you want about the industry, but like, I don't think you're going to find a better closer in the world than timeshare people, because those guys, like, they're literally meeting with people that have been told through their entire lives to never buy a timeshare. So like, you have to have a very deep knowledge of sales psychology and like why people buy and how to build urgency and do all that stuff. And I think a lot of that stuff is missing in solar just because it's been such an easy sale up to this point. So like we had 3 people last year on our team with an average close rate above 80% last year. Which, solar, like, I think that close rates in solar are high, and like, that's like tracked in a CRM and stuff. I'm not making that up. A lot of people are like, oh, there's no way, because a lot of people say they do that, but like, I think average in solar is probably like around in the 40s if you're good. Even and then less. Like, 20s, 30s is average. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're really good, like, you're doing like that, but like, people like act like that is. So like, someone going into in-homes on cold leads and like closing 80% of deals, like, that's freaking crazy. And that's just because of having it's a lot of it's just not taking no for an answer. Like, until someone has kicked you out of the house, like, they're still there having a dialogue. And something that we always teach, one of my favorite door knocking things is the whole AIM. This probably comes from Vivint and I don't even know it, but the acknowledge, ignore, move on. Where if someone says like, oh yeah, I hate door-to-door salespeople, like, yeah, me too. That's exactly why I'm here. And then just keep going into your pitch. That's one of my favorite phrases, is that's actually why I'm here. And then you just keep talking, like, regardless of what they said. Because one of the most crazy things I've ever learned, and like, it's very useful, like, if you're dealing with pissed off customers, if you're on the door. So like, people can't stay angry for more than like 3 minutes. But every time you disagree with them, that counter resets. So if you just keep acting friendly and like, hey, I'm here to help, I want to help, blah, 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 what happens is you can literally feel that energy start to peter out. And what happens is they either start being reasonable or they realize that they're running out of steam and they have one final blow up and then hang up on you. So like, if you can just like, you don't like, especially like on a door, like most of the objections are smoke screen objections. Like, people are just like playing, like, they just want you to go away. And if you start engaging in their little game and that little stuff, like, you're not going to get anywhere. So you just like acknowledge it with a smile. Don't disagree with them. Be like, oh yeah, like, I've looked into it. I don't like it. It's like, oh yeah, that's actually why I'm here. A lot of people weren't interested in it. And then keep going with your pitch.
That's the old school way of doing things, right? In Australia, it's like, no worries, I'll keep it real quick. And you're just straight back in. And to touch on close rates, it's really sad.
Dude,
It's really sad for me and probably for everyone on this call. Like, when I started in solar, I have a certain standard because we closed at 70, 80%. Like, that's what we did. Now we see the average close rates are in the 20s and 30s. And it's like, man, something's missing here. Like, what's happening? It's easier than it ever has been. Maybe dealer fees make it a bit more difficult the past few months. Fair enough. But it's the Vivint thing. It's come from the source. Everyone was super hard. The rule was you stay in the home until you get kicked out, right? And now it's like, oh man, we're getting a bit soft here. How do we fix this?
Yeah, Speaking of real quick, like Joe or Danny, would you guys be willing to give me like $1 every time someone says real quick at SolarCon?
Yeah.
Because like that's a phrase that is just ubiquitous throughout. It's like everyone's like, you start getting around a bunch of solar salespeople and everyone's just been like real quick.
It really comes down to people don't really realize the good times until they're gone, right? Like right now in California, if you're a door knocker, it's heaven. Like you should be hitting every door as much as possible, call as many people as possible until April 14th. Because after April 14th, it's going to be a completely different ballgame, right? And you're going to look back like, damn, I should have hit 10 times as many houses in that 2 months, right? So right now, it's go time.
Do they have to be? Do they have to be sold by April 14th, or do they have to be like fully approved? Like the utility has to like have the meter installed and everything by April 14th.
But they're saying you just got to have the contract signed by April 14th. So that's what I've been hearing.
Is that what salespeople are saying, or what the utility's saying?
Get signed up, but yeah, I think it's right about. What is it, Jake? Come on, Jake. So Jake's right here. Is it April 14th they can go up to? Yo, Mr. Hess.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
You've had Jake Hess here this whole time, just hiding him in the corner from us?
We've been out there doing stuff.
SolarCon house. So can we go to April 14th if we want to get net metering 2.0? Can we get sign a contract that day? You know?
Can they do it on April 14th?
Mm-hmm. When's the last day they can get net metering 2.0?
I mean, technically you could sign a contract, yes, but there's a few more variables to it. There's a few more things that you need in order to lock that date in. Like you've got to have a CAD drawing. And if you don't have that, then I mean, it's gonna.
That's the kind of stuff we were talking about earlier, where people are like, "Oh, let's go blitz California" and all this stuff, and I'm like, "Yo, like, there's going to be a whole crap load of people blitzing California," and like, I feel like what's going to happen, unless it's true that like, oh, contract signed by 11:59 on April 14th, there's going to be a whole lot of unhappy customers because like I'm guessing that whatever the utility is out there, that they've got an influx of thing, and they aren't necessarily motivated to get that stuff approved before April 14th. Like they have no motivation to they have every motivation to kick that can down the road.
That's what we're wondering. I think it's if it's submitted, I think, and we can't verify that, but usually when you submit a CAD, you have a receipt that you paid, right? And so, but you do need the CAD, and that could take easily 3 days to get back. So doing it on the 14th, I think, is unlikely.
Yeah. Talking about the good times, by the way, James, when you said
just when in doubt, ask a salesperson. You know, they'll shoot you straight.
100%. Talking about the good times, you're saying about not knowing when you're in the good times. There's a great quote from The Office. It's like, I wish I knew I was in the good times while I was in the good times. I want you guys all to know, though, relative to the global markets, you guys in the U.S. and all of us in the U.S. will be in the good times for years. Don't look at the past like pre-NEM 3.0 California and think the industry is over. It is phenomenal. I have difficulty bringing people over from Australia because they don't believe me how good the US is right now or how it will be after NEM 3.0, right? You're in really good times right now. For several years, we're going to remain there. It's good. It's going to be good. Don't lose faith.
Speaking of,
and there's so many other markets to sell in too. You know, it's like I think Oklahoma just recently has statewide net metering. Obviously, the issue you're dealing with there is population density is pretty low. You know, it's like we were talking about Houston earlier, where there's 7 million people crammed into an area like the size of like Connecticut, whereas Oklahoma is like, I don't know how many people live in Oklahoma. I'm assuming like 300 or 400, and they're like spread out over a very large area.
And I've already sold 200 of them.
Even less teeth too. There's a good population.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
if anyone wants to sell in Oklahoma,
it's good barbecue, I hear. Danny, do we need to have like some kind of intervention with you about this whole sunflower seed thing? Because I'm pretty sure that bag's empty, and you just keep like
there's salt in there.
Salt.
No, dude, I haven't eaten anything all day. I'm starving. It's like 11. It's like 10 o'clock.
Probably at a customer's house right now.
How many calories are in a bag of sunflower seeds? And does that, when they put that calorie amount, does that include the shell, do you think, or do they just like factor in that people spit the shell out?
That's a good point.
Hey guys,
Oh,
speaking of good times, this has been an amazing.
It doesn't even happen on there.
We're gonna wrap this up, guys.
Is that legal?
I don't even.
All right.
shouldn't even promote David because these sunflower seeds. Just because I talked about.
I think
it,
this
now
is
they're
the
stock
James
market.
and Danny podcast now. I think we're out of it, boys. We've been kicked. All right. Well,
Did we take over?
I think we're gonna wrap up. You got to head off, Joe.
No, just I want these.
Yeah, I gotta head off too, dude. I'm an hour over. God, my mom's in the other room.
Danny, you are here until we
I mean,
see you leave.
I'm in the deal. I'm trying to figure out what beard oil Josh uses to get that immaculate beard over there. Like, do you go to a barber like every 2 days? Like, what's going on here?
This is one of those things where I could tell you I use a beard oil and sell it to you, but I actually have never used beard oil in my life. It's just the genes, my friend. That's it. Genes, and I constantly stroke it, so probably a bit of oil from my hand.
Oh, there it is. Handle. That's the secret,
Oh,
bro.
okay.
When I was a kid, I always looked at the guys who had perfect hair, and then I would buy all their products because I thought I would be able to get my hair like it. And then very recently, probably only a few years ago, I realized, no, they just had really nice hair, and they did never need to use any products. It was a hard awakening for me.
Hey, I could talk about your hair all day, Josh, but let's get these guys going. Pessy,
All right.
just shout out your solar closure tour, and in any ways they want to reach out to you or sign up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you're not really committed to learning, don't show up. Like, it's going to be fun. I'm going to give you a lot of techniques, but you got to be there to learn. So if you are actually in the solar industry and you want to get better, you're going to be in those markets, or you're not, 100% you should go. I've made it very affordable. The content's going to be the best you've ever seen. So there's a special right now. If you do get a ticket, you get a free ticket to SolarCon 2 as well with the special packaging. Go to my Instagram right now. Check it out. But 100%, you guys should not miss this.
Awesome. We'll put Danny's links and things on the screen in the description as well. What do you got going on, James?
No, I don't got anything to advertise. I'm just here to hang out and look at and comment on.
I heard you're looking for more lead providers, and people should just DM you on Facebook, right? Is that true? We'll put James's Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My biggest concern is I'm not sure if I could handle 30 more leads a week. So, like, I'm just trying to really make an assessment and see if
could you handle a guaranteed 100 installs a month? We have some just floating around that we need someone to take.
Yeah, does it come with crews?
It comes with a poorly written description and probably from another country, someone shooting you a message on Facebook. But other than that, who knows?
All right, perfect. Only polysilicate panels, please.
Fantastic.
And we'll see
All right, cool.
SolarCon 2.
Wrap it up.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, Joe. Well, what do you got going on?
Bro, let's do it. These three guys right here, Josh,
Some
Danny,
SolarCon
and James, are SolarCon influencers. So if you guys don't know, talk to them. They got an extra discount for SolarCon, and then you get to hang out and meet these awesome guys. So get to SolarCon, baby.
That was wild. I hope you guys liked that. That was real fun. Awesome episode with awesome guests. We got more to come. Hey, for all your virtual solar sales needs, you know me, hit virtualsolar.club, link in the description. Joe, what do you got going on?
For all your solar sales training needs, go to thesolaracademy.com. And I better see everybody at SolarCon. Go to attendsolarcon.com. And don't forget, comment, react, and share if you enjoyed this episode.